go, this ain't no game. This that CSG game. They said pull up, so I came. You better put some respect on their name. Yeah, 55 was goody. Kill the vibe, how could he? Big Cardinal on the hoodie. Let me break it down for you fully. This ain't your average broadcast. This ain't just no podcast. I'm on the show, spread fake news. We just started the podcast. West, Joey, Sam, Sean, Dalton. And you know that boy hit you. He said he was a small fry. Tell him they better make him bang. Yeah, you already know what we be on.
You bet. Here he goes. This place is gone.
If we said it instead of this song, shouldn't have seen you set up your phone. You in the Cardinal sports zone.
Straight steal of home. The slide. The Cards win.
The magic is working tonight. How do you know when things are
The emotional journey to the championship.
Good morning, Card Nation. We're coming to you live this morning, early morning episode from the Shoot 360 studios. This is the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Wahman. Here are my co-hosts for the morning. First off, it is the big little brother. It's Joe Wahman.
Knowledge me.
Sean, this is why you are 39 plus by a lot, and your mom and sisters are the only women you touch appropriately, obviously. And also our co-host, he's the man whose echo is afraid of him. It's Sean Barber.
How's it going?
Now, why is the echo? Is it just because Sean's so daggone? He's got a face for radio. Now, this is not radio. This is streaming. So he kind of, it's a double negative.
Well, his shadow rejected him too.
That's kind of harsh, but you know,
Turned his back on him.
Listen. Don't forget the Mossy Oak chat line is open. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or however, send us your questions on social media, and you're going to want to today. Check out the graphic below to see how you can follow the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast on social media, and hit the thumbs up button while you're here on YouTube. Make sure you're watching on YouTube if you can. It will help us out a lot more analytically, statistically, the sponsors, and we have an abundance of them. They like to see the YouTube numbers. They don't care about Sean's MySpace page. They don't care about
MySpace, man. MySpace was cool.
Once you could figure out how to make the little
fade.
designs and stuff. No, the
My
game
top friend
changer
was Tom.
The
That
game
dude.
changer. Your only friend was Tom.
My only friend was Tom.
That's sad.
That
Sean.
makes sense.
No, the game changer is when you could top 8 was all you could have for a while, and then they allowed you to have a top 32, which made it a little bit trickier for those of us that have more than one friend, because then it was like, okay, you could justify somebody not being in your top 8, but if they weren't in your top 32, they might as well just go ahead and unfriend you immediately.
Yeah, but you could have like the background music and the different background.
Oh yeah, I had a Louisville Cardinals one.
It was dope.
It was so dope. Shout out, speaking of sponsors, shout out to our fine sponsors: Fitness Market, Four Pegs, the Collision Course Crew Tailgaters, Cherry Picking, Shoot 360, Mossy Oak, Planet Fitness, Rally House, and our summer sponsors, Beckman's Fine Blades, and our newest sponsor, who will be starting with us later on in August, even though, it is August. Rewind. And our newest sponsor, starting with Season 7, the Season 7 debut here in 2 episodes. He'll be starting there, but we want to give a shout out to our guy, Josh Jarbo from Remax Realty. We're very excited to
I
have
believe he's
Josh.
in the Remax Realty Hall of Fame.
He
recently.
is, and he's like top 40, under 40. But now we got to get to our guest. Look, he was an innovator in the onset of online media here locally. Even back in the days when I used to make fun of all the nerds at work coming into work acting like insiders, thinking that they had inside info, I knew who he was. Yes, I was talking about Steve Rummage.
Mhm.
Still is a nerd. He jumped into the forefront of an industry that was virtually non-existent and made it his. Sean hit the. Yeah, made it his. Thanks for not censoring yourself, Joey.
I did. I said,
Okay. He got so good that once the rest of us started up, we made up excuses as to why he was in a different category. He was multimedia. We were just blog. He kept changing the game, and he made us step up our game. We just wanted a chance to be at the top, and as long as he was there, it was. But this guy's. He does multimedia now. Well, he's writing books now. Any qualifier we could get to put us in 2 different categories, we did it. This has been a long time coming and is way overdue. This will be only this fun fact, Sean. I know you like fun facts, even ones that aren't. Only the second time we have shared the airwaves, with the first time being on the day of ironically, Muhammad Ali's passing. His brother passed this morning. Rest in peace to him. But on the that moment was so big. Me and Steve started out the show for a couple hours, and then him and our guy, good old JR, hopped on the airwaves and did a mini episode of their show in the middle of ours, which was special for so many reasons because those guys were people we looked up to and stuff like that. But without further ado, please welcome the one and only, the Rated R superstar. It's Mike Rutherford. Mike, what's good, man?
What's up, fellas? Thanks so much for having me. I like the Rated R superstar. That's fantastic.
The R is for Rutherford. And listen, if y'all listen to his podcast, we're a little bit more family friendly on the show because of all the sponsors and how. But if you listen to his podcast, you get the real deal. R is for the real deal. R is for Rutherford. What, Joey?
I need to go on his show. Then.
You do. You absolutely need to.
I am not made for this type of podcast.
You definitely are not. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing well. I like that I'm like the Rated R guy. I'm infiltrating the family feel good podcast, and I've got a crib in the background right here. So it seems wildly inappropriate that that's my lead in, but I'm very, very excited to be here.
I love that, man. Listen, it's a beautiful day out here. Beautiful weather the past few days, but we didn't ask you to come on the show to do your best Mark Weinberg impersonation. I'm not sure anybody, unless you're just like shaking and waving your hands in the air, I'm not sure how you could do that. But thanks for joining us this early in the morning. Again, we normally do the show about 2:00 in the afternoon, but when you have the GOAT on your show, you ask the GOAT when the show is. You don't tell him, he tells you. So we're glad you did join us this early in the morning, especially with having a crib in the background. That means you have some children that you could spend this beautiful Sunday morning with, and we appreciate you taking the time out for us.
And he's probably been up all night.
And maybe well, you don't have babies anymore, right? Your kids are a little older.
5 and 3, which means still a handful of not full sleep nights, but right. It's okay. It's better than it used to be for sure.
Good.
Absolutely. Look, I want to tell a little story to start us off here. How we met online, so our guy, one of the founders, it was myself, Steve Rummage, and Justin. We created CardinalSportsZone.com because Justin was very good at, and he became an editor for you, I believe, at some point as well. I don't know if he was an editor, but he worked for you at some point. Just very good at the organizational part. Steve, if you know Steve, all he wants to do is just get on and talk, or he just wants to be spotlight. He doesn't want to turn the spotlight on. He just wants to do as very little as possible. And then myself, I added the fact that I was actually finishing up my degree at U of L at the time. So I was up there with your Terrence Farleys and your Juan Palacios and your T Wills, which that guy is just one of the most unique guys. I know the trouble he's in now, but back then he was the first ever guy I knew that acted like maybe he was having monthly visitors at Sean. I don't know if you know what I mean. I know the rest of you do, but and Earl Clark and Derek Character, like I had so much insight and like I would hear these people come to work and be like, "Oh, did you hear Terrence Farley got kicked off the team? He punched little Rick in the mouth," and I would be like, "No, he didn't." Like I was at the practice. All he did was show up late again, and he, in true Rick fashion, he was kicked off for about 24 hours. But it was that was my introduction to even your realm, because they would come. Well, I read it. I read it on Card Chronicle, or they would mention Blankenbaker. Oh, Blankenbaker said this and that, and for the longest time, I didn't know what they were talking about because I was living in the world. I wasn't like reporting on the world. I was just regular Jeremy the warehouse worker, former football card, just chugging along and trying to get life going. So then, fast forward, we start the website. We get our Twitter, which was very difficult to get because of the amount of letters that Justin wanted to put in the name, which I affectionately just shortened to CSZ, which we might need to change the Twitter name to something shorter because it's very long. And so you were a jerk to me at first, Mike, and I want to explain this to everybody. Okay, no, you weren't a jerk to me. It was kind of so here's the situation. Justin puts out the first tweet. Hey, we're Cardinal Sports Zone. We're a new website. First 10 people that follows us will follow you back. Like we deserve to be, like we're not going to follow you unless you're important and follow us back. And me and Steve were like, Justin, you can't do that. People are going to make, oh no, they're not going to make fun of us. Get online.
Made fun of.
Nick Coffey, Mike Rutherford, making jokes to each other. Hey, if the next 10 people that follow you, I'll follow them. And it was funny. It was a funny thing. But Justin come to us and was like, all right, you guys are right. I'll let y'all handle the battle plan part of this. I'll just do the execution stuff. So it was a fun time. But Mike, I say this not just because you're on the show, because I've said it a multitude of shows, but without you, there is no us, because you not only showed us what to do, but there were a bunch of times in our infantile stages that you would talk to, like Justin would have questions, you'd answer them. And that's something I will say. Anybody that started, there's been a ton of blogs that have started since 2018, 2019. We started in 2011, 2012. There's been an onslaught of new ones. Those guys don't know what it was like to I hate, because this makes me sound old, the golden days of this getting started. But we had the Mike Rutherfords, we had the Howie Lindsays, we had the Crumbs Revenges, we had the Blanket. Those four guys were so willing and happy to help us out. That's why we got started off on such a hot start. We were doing podcasts and streams, and you guys would hop on with us. It just this is just my opportunity to tell you thank you for everything that you've done for me, because I'm not sitting here right now with the flexibility I have in life. I definitely don't get to take care of my father the last year of his life without being able to do this and being able to work from his room. Like, I'm not trying to make it grim. I did it while I was in the hospital, like 2 years ago. I was in the hospital for an extended period of time, had my laptop, was still trying to do as much work as I can. So thank you, Mike, for setting this. You really are. I know you're going to be like, stop, no, don't, keep it up. But you really are a trailblazer. You continue to be a trailblazer in this, and we all thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
I don't know about that. I appreciate it. I also don't remember giving you all grief. Maybe Coffee did when you first get. It doesn't sound like me, because I've always said, I've always kind of thought there's room enough here for all of us. If you are a diehard Louisville sports fan and you're reading my site, or you're reading CSZ, or you're listening to me, or you're listening to you guys, you've probably got time to listen and to read to multiple people. Like you're probably out. You're probably a diehard. You're probably looking around there for as much content as you can possibly have. So I've always sort of thought the more the better. And then I don't forget what it was like when I was trying to get this thing going when I was in college. And it was basically at that time there were so few blogs or websites or whatever you want to call them, new media that were out there, that it was basically me trying to interact with like the big J journalists. And there were some people that were not kind about it, that were very much actively working against me. And I kind of always remember that and being like, why? Like, I haven't done anything to you. I always try to be nice to people. I'm not out here being like, this guy sucks or that guy sucks or this site sucks. I'm just trying to do my own thing. And people would kind of actively wait for an opportunity to jump on me. So I've always kind of taken that with me and said, I remember how that made me feel. I don't want to ever be that guy. So yeah, I mean, I've always tried to help people when they've reached out for help over the years, and whether or not I've been able to actively do it, I don't know. I don't know, but I've definitely tried.
And obviously, I didn't take it as disrespectful back then. I just took it as it was the way that I told Justin. I said, if you're sitting out there and do something like that, there are going to be some people that say something negative, and there were. And I've also been of the same mind frame. There's enough room at this table for all of us to eat, right? Because, like you said, with this fan base being as loving and caring as they are, they can never. I know some people that just. We'll get the show done here in about, we'll have the show posted at noon, and at 1 o'clock, they're like, when's y'all's next show? Like, that's how much they love content, U of L content. No, I never took it as, honestly, like, I remember you telling us that at the very beginning, like, nobody has to, and it has to be negative. They don't have to be rude, but you're going to encounter those type of people. And I'd never even had, like, when we started the podcast, I had just started Twitter. I hadn't twitted a whole lot at that point. So the whole situation was new to me. And I just remember you giving me words of wisdom and being like, look, if this is said, don't worry about it. People are very specifically. You told me you're like you were on the roster at U of L. Nobody, nothing. You don't have, and I didn't. I mean, I told you, I said I don't have any stats. I was hurt both years. And you're like, people are going to make fun of that. People are going to be malicious, and they're going to say, oh, you weren't really even on the team. And sure enough, within that first year, I was harassed probably every day. We don't know who you are. And then I brought Chris Redmond on the show, who told him who his favorite tight end was. And I had Ivan Green on the show, who was like, Jeremy's my. So I had a little bit of credibility, and then you interacting with me gave me credibility as well. So again, I thank you. I never thought that was malicious. I was just joking about the jerk thing. You've never been a jerk to me. Well, we'll talk about later in the show the one time you kind of were, and why I believe you deservedly so. Somebody called him Ruth Richard. No, they called him Ruth Dick at the beginning, a couple years ago. So, the website. How did you get started with the website? And then let's transition into the radio show stuff, because I've always been a big fan, big supporter. I like to say supporter because fan to me kind of say I'm still odd about saying, oh man, the show's got fans. Supporter. I've always been a supporter, all the way from what you're doing now. I listen every day, back to the R&R days and everything before that. You and Ennis had a show as well, correct?
We did.
So, the two-man weave, is that's what it was?
The two-man game. Two-man game.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I knew it. Listen, I'm getting older too. We're all getting older, so some things are slipping a little bit, but it is what it is. How'd you get the website started, and how did that naturally transition into the radio show? Because when I first met you, I'm like, this guy is such a character on the air, but he's kind of reserved because I've ran into you out in public a bunch of times. Y'all would do the remotes and stuff. And I'm like, how does a guy who seems like he's introverted come out? He gets on the radio and he's such a polarizing figure.
Yeah. I mean, for starters, I grew up, I kind of knew writing was in my background. My dad wrote for the Courier for a long time, wrote for the Louisville Times. My grandfather won a Pulitzer Prize for the Courier Journal back in the 70s. He was a very big deal in the Courier, John Ed Pierce. So I think it was one of those just kind of inherent things, just kind of in your DNA. I liked writing growing up. I was terrible at math. I wasn't good at some other things, but I could write a little bit. And so when I got to college and internet coverage was becoming more of a thing, I was going to school at Dayton during the 04 presidential election, and there was just, constant coverage on all these different websites. And I started kind of tracking stuff there, which led me to the sports internet, sports blogosphere. And so when I came back home to finish up school at Bellarmine, because I drank too much and went to school too little at Dayton. So when I came home to finish at Bellarmine, I was like, it's perfect time I'm bored. I'm living with my parents. Let's combine the love of writing with the love of Louisville sports. Let's just fire up a blogger account and just give me something to do. Give me a chance to hone my skills. I want to be a part of this in some way. And there was one other U of L sports blog, and it was by a guy who didn't really know any of the players. It didn't make any sense. So I was like, there's a niche to be filled here. And so I just kind of started writing a bunch. And that was in March of 06, I want to say. And by that summer, we had we had Site Meter back in the day to track all the stats and stuff. And I was realizing that there were people that were coming back on a daily basis. And every now and then there would be an influx of traffic because a certain post, people were reading that a lot. And it became kind of a cool thing to do. And I spent that summer in Iowa working for a newspaper. So I kind of was balancing writing about sports in Iowa with also keeping up the blog. And then late that summer, I got reached out to by the folks at SB Nation saying, we see what you're doing. Would you like to be a part of our network? We'll create the website for you. There may be a little bit of money in for you at some point in time. And I was like, hell yeah. And they had to change the name from the Card Report, which is what I had come up with, to Card Chronicle, because you couldn't have the word "the" in the title. Gotcha. So they created Card Chronicle. They gave me the website, and it was a perfect time because, that fall, Louisville has one of the best football seasons of all time. They go to the Orange Bowl. I go to the Orange Bowl. Rick Pitino is, bouncing back from the NIT season and showing that we're going to be, hopefully back in the Final Four in relatively short order. And I mean, you guys know this as well as I do. The website stuff, the radio stuff, the podcast stuff, it's always better when the teams are good. There's always more attention. There's always more energy. There are always more people that want to jump in. And at that time, like, things were good for Louisville athletics. And so I think it was just kind of a perfect timing deal. And just kept doing the website from that point forward. It became something that kind of took off in those first few years.
And then, so how did that transition to radio? And you all, I see the chat line. The chat line is exploded. We'll get to you all after the segment. I want to ask them some questions first. Then you all get your turn. How did that transition into radio for you?
I mean, I would do kind of stuff on and off. So it's funny. The first person to ever have me on any form of audible media was Matt Jones, who had me on the KSR podcast when he was first getting started. We kind of got started about the same time. I think he got going a little bit earlier than I did. And he had me on his podcast. And the very first question, we can make fun of him about this, it was a season preview for Louisville football in 2006. And he was like, so Stephon LaForge is gone. Now it's Brian Brom's team. And I was like, yeah, he was gone 2 years ago. So it was Brian Brom's team last year too. Like, that was how we started off. At my very, I was like, am I a dick? Can I say this? Can I correct him here? And that's what happened. And then I actually did radio with Matt when I was still in college. I would do once a week when he was on, I think it was, I can't remember, 1080. It was The Zone. It was owned by Dugan Ryan, who I work for now. And I would go in there once a week and do stuff with him, and we would kind of go back and forth. And so, anytime you're writing, I feel like even back then, you're going to get a shot to do a little bit of radio in this market. So I would go on various shows every now and then. And I remember Drew Diener started having me on a weekly basis on his show, which I think was on 790 at that time. And then he went to 680, and I would go over there. And it got to a point where I would go in the studio, do some guest spots, and was okay enough at it that when they gave Mark Ennis his weekly show on 680, he asked me if I would co-host with him. And so we started doing that. And then the John thing, there was this whole buildup about, we want to have like a Louisville station. We want to have a station that's Louisville centric, Louisville focused. And I won't bore you with the details about how difficult that was to make happen, but it was this thing. I'd just gotten married, and I was, making a decent living doing all the writing stuff, but it was getting to a point where I was like, I need a secondary source of income, and I'm going to have to explore different ways to make that happen. And like, right as that's happening, John calls me in September of 2014 and is basically like, they're going to give me the show. Everyone thinks that you're perfect to be my co-host. I feel like this is a perfect deal. And, I was like, hell yeah, like that would be wonderful. And then it took, I think, 10 months from that point forward for all the details to be ironed out. It was super, super frustrating. But I mean, you know how it goes. It's you got to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. And there was, how's this going to work? So I would do radio sporadically with him while not being paid. And then I think it was like May or June when I got on full time. And it's crazy to think that that's been like over a decade now. And it's been full time with a couple hiccups in between. It's been full time here and there for the past 10 years. So it's been a good ride.
Let's talk about one of the, first off, I want to touch on this a little bit. Love him or hate him, Matt Jones is probably another one of the most polarizing figures in media here in the state. And I know people are going to kill me for this, but for as many negative things, and trust me, there are times when he tried to literally destroy our program. But when we first got started, kind of similar to Mike, he had an opening. One of his Lloyd Spence was the guy's name, and he did the 12-1 on that station, and he was having something that caused him not to be able to come in a lot. So Matt contacted us, had heard about the kind of buzz we were getting, and was like, y'all want to do 12-1 for a couple of days? It started out for a couple of days. We ended up doing that for 6 months, and he was always very, very like before the show. Like I expected the worst, honestly, because I'd heard nothing but bad things about him. Before our show, we'd be sitting in the I'll call it the green room. I don't know what you call it technically, but we would be sitting in the room waiting for him to finish his show. He would finish his part. He'd come in and he'd talk to, hey, what are y'all talking about today? Well, instead of this, why don't you put it this way? Very, very helpful to us. Has always been very, very nice when I saw him in public. There's been a couple times. And my mother-in-law, she unfortunately is a UK fan. And there was a time when me and her and my wife, shout out to Teresa, she'll kill me if I don't say that after mentioning her mom. But we were out to eat somewhere and he walked in and Judy was like, there's Matt Jones.
Fangirling.
A little fangirling. And I waved. I said, oh, yeah. That's who we do the show before. Oh, at that point, she didn't know. She just thought I was Jeremy, the greatest son-in-law ever. She didn't really have much of an idea of what I was doing. But I waved at him. He waved back. He came over and talked to us for a little. Like, he didn't have to do that. And there's been other times where he's come over to talk to us. Well, I'm not trying to say too many good things about him because at the end of the day, he's still Matt Jones. So boo that man. But
not enough booing going on these days.
Not enough booing. But you talked about the offs and ons, and I wanted to tell again. I shared this with you before the show, but I want to share this in front of everybody else on the show. As you all know, I have a friend who likes to. I don't know if stowaway is the right word for it, but anytime I go on a vacation, we like to vacation together. But it's mostly me saying, "Hey, I got a room. It's got too many rooms in it, but we're gonna go to Orlando or Panama City Beach," and then he calls me back and says, well, I'll go too, even though I don't necessarily always invite him. Yes, we're talking about the one and only Steve Rummage. He didn't pay me for that. He'll have to pay at some point. But this is Monday afternoon. We tell the wives, we're not really big beach guys. It's like, okay, well, y'all like the beach. We'll go to the beach. We're like, all right, we're okay. We'll just go down to the beach and turn on the Ramsey and Rutherford show. Everything will be fine. No, I don't think this was a Monday. I think this was I think it was a Thursday or a Friday, wasn't it, Mike?
It would have been a Monday.
It would have been a Monday? Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know okay. Yeah. So turn on the radio silence. Then a few minutes later, a national show comes on, and we're like, well, what in the freak? Why aren't they on? And then it comes out that, you all are no longer doing the show, which was heartbreaking because, listen, 93.9, again, people have opinions about it and the people that are on there. But all that aside, when that became a thing in Louisville, that revolutionized sports media in Louisville because you had Charlie Strong goes to visit the whole Charlie Strong Tennessee situation. He goes to visit their AD in the middle of the night. Well, who does an impromptu show? 93.9. Anything that happens, kind of like with WWE now, they've got the Peacock and they've got the network. If something happens, for example, or even Busted Open Radio, Pro Wrestling Nation, they've got a 24-hour Sirius Radio, which we need to get on Sirius Radio, I believe. Joey, you'll be able to shine on Sirius Radio.
It's either that or I'm going to guest spot with Mike on his show.
Okay, well, good luck. I've known him for 15 years and never even talked to him on his show, but I digress.
Speak the way I speak.
That's true. I'm joking, but yeah, it really did. It changed the game, and you're able to have something like Louisville lose before Louisville loses a heartbreaking game. You don't have live reaction. You're just like, well, okay. But now you can get on there. You can air your grievances out. You can talk about it. You can get over it, or you can just hold on to it for a while, like some people do, and it is what it is. So, very game changing thing. But it really did break my heart because you all not only worked so well together, but I knew how good of people you all were individually. You both had been good to me at that point, and you all were so darn entertaining. It was like, I have to listen to this every day. I don't care if I'm late a couple minutes back from break. Fire me if you have to. I have to listen to Ramsey and Rutherford, and it was such a great time. But you a couple years ago, you got back on the air. Everybody was so happy. The Big X, shout out to our guy Dalton Pence. He's on the Big X too on Monday nights. He actually is in the chat. he said, "I'm getting X-rays this morning. Somebody asked Mike about the big X curse." So I'm going to ask you about that first before I get back into what I was going into.
Everybody who works with me has gotten hurt at some point this summer. It's been ridiculous. Roman, my producer, tore his ACL. Trevor, my old producer on the show, got hit by a drunk driver.
Oh my gosh!
CDK, CD Kaplan, who writes on the website, broke like 3 ribs a few weeks ago. And now we've got Dalton Pence going to get x-rays for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you guys need to go ahead and take out a life insurance policy right when we get off the air, but it may not hurt. If you guys have like a stub toe after this, feel free to blame it on me. Whatever happens, it's my fault at this point.
I no longer want to guest spot
He no longer wants to be
on
on.
Mike's show. I will hold out for Sirius.
Hold out for Sirius. As we said
My bad.
before, this business that we're in, it's such a unique and fun. As many people that are against you in the business, because again, at the end of the day, it is a business, and there are some people that treat it like that. They want to run your name down. They don't want to be positive. And then you have guys like yourself, Howie, myself, Steve. I mean, Steve's kind of a douche sometimes, but he'll try to help you out if you can. There's more good. I guess what I'm saying is there's more good guys than there are bad guys. Mike, a change that I've noticed here within the last couple of years, and probably since the pandemic, we have changed from a story-based society to a social media-based society. I don't know about you, but I can tell you from our website views ourselves, it's went down exponentially because people can just see the little blurb on the Twitter. They don't have to take the time, or they want it now. They don't want to do the work, sort of like Sean, to read a story. So with all that, do you agree with that? First off, before I get to the second part of my question, that this is kind of shifting or has shifted.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's I guess ironic because when we first got going, the big part of the big allure for a site like Card Chronicle or Cardinal Sports Zone is you're taking the same type of information that's out there at the Courier Journal or ESPN.com or wherever, but you're framing it in a easier to digest, like faster read with a little bit of humor tied in there and all this stuff. And now, like, that's too much for people to handle. It 250 word posts. People don't want that. They want the quick 30-second TikTok video or just the tweet that's giving you the same type of thing. So, I guess this is just the evolution of everything. And 10 years from now, it's going to be like a 5-second like data array that's just sent exactly like right into your brain. That's how people are going to consume sports content. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it hasn't helped what's going on with basketball when it comes to traffic and stuff like that either. I mean, we saw an uptick in both football and basketball traffic this past season, which was the first time in like, I want to say 6 or 7 years that we've had a spike in traffic, which was good. But you're totally right. I mean, it's definitely not like it was in 2011, 2012, 2013, that time span.
And I'll even go as far as say that's been a little bit of a change, because I'll say the first 5 or 6 years we were a website, the bad times got more clicks than the good. The people were wanting to find out, well, what's going on? Why did this happen? Let's complain. Let's argue. And now it's
at a certain point, there's a limit, and at a certain point, people hit the saturation point. But yeah, for sure.
Dalton says Roman and I are going to be putting up Hall of Fame numbers in the physical therapy league. That's maybe, I just don't think Dalton can play basketball. He doesn't look like he looks like a guy that maybe gets together with his tennis buddies and plays basketball, but he doesn't look like, I wouldn't be afraid of him on the court, but I am 6'7", 350 pounds. So I wouldn't naturally. And then I also used to play basketball with guys like Nazir Muhammad, Samardo Samuels.
He looks like would be very good at Sudoku.
He looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, you remember the caddy in the original Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of Dalton. I love Dalton.
Yeah.
Like a little brother, but
he gets shaken to death.
And and it's funny because he'll be in our group chat talking crap to this other kid, Tanner, who's about 3 inches shorter and 50 pounds lighter. And I'm like, does he really think he can play basketball? Or okay, this is not a Dalton Rip session. I'm sorry.
Oh man, we ain't had one of those in a long time.
We could do that off the air. Anthony Easton says, "Am I crazy, or does Rutherford's voice sound like Jim Rome?" Okay, maybe a little, maybe only a lot better.
I've oddly gotten that a lot over the years.
Really?
Never thought about it. Never heard it myself.
It's the R's. It's the way.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you because I have listened to Jim Rome, and he's got the when he pronounces the R's, it's more like I don't know, crisp on the end of it. I don't know how else to explain it, but
okay.
When I like the very first time that I started doing radio full time in like 2015 with John, somebody opened up the old 93.9 studios and just shouted in like Mike Rutherford sounds like Jim Rome, and I thought it was a joke, and then I started hearing it over and over and over again, and we probably still, I mean, I'll say like once or twice a month, there'll be somebody who just catches on to the show or hasn't listened a ton and will text into our text line or tweet me and say like, do you have anyone ever told you sound like Jim Rome? I still don't hear it myself, but it's definitely a thing that I've heard.
Yeah. Like I didn't even notice that until you said that, but until Jeremy said that,
a little bit.
I can definitely hear it.
I don't.
And it's not
not a negative thing.
Absolutely not. No, just the way you articulate your words and enunciate them.
Of course, the guy doesn't bother to log in for the podcast, but Higgy has a comment on the chat line. He says, "Ask Mike about giving me my radio debut before the 2018 season. Ha ha! I guess him and I. First off, if you know Higgy, you know he cannot put 4 coherent words together. I guess him and I crashed the season with Saved by the Bell talk in Orlando. You'll have to excuse Higgy. We try to every single week. And OG meets according to the title. I'm still waiting for Rutherford to show up. Okay, he's I must have misspelled. He said Rutherford. I must have misspelled your name in the title. Okay, ha ha ha, people. Yeah, well, Rutherford. That's how rated R he is. He doesn't even need all the R's in his name. He's just rolling that deep. I do have a personal question. Well, first off, do you still love to write?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't have as much time as I used to when it comes to the Louisville stuff because I do 3 hours of radio a day. I've got 2 kids. I try to be a present father. But then I also, I had this job I was the college basketball editor at SB Nation from 2012 through right after the pandemic when they laid off, they furloughed everybody and then only brought like 2 people back and kind of gutted the site. They brought me back in March on a full-time basis. So I do get a chance to do a lot of college basketball writing, which is good. But it's not, I used to stay up until like 3, 4 a.m. and just pound out these, what I thought were like well thought out, lengthy stories that I would put on Card Chronicle. And that was some of the best stuff that I did. And it's just not doable anymore for me to stay up writing until 3 to 4 a.m. It has changed a little bit, but I definitely, I do still like to write a lot.
All right, where is I hate to Rutherford. Sean, why aren't you what do you do? You're the producer. I've been producing the show. You should be doing this crap too. What exactly is it that you do?
I don't know.
And that's exactly why he is 40 plus.
He knows what the general's son's name from the Battle of 1742.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know what he does here. I know what I do and don't do.
Yeah, you're the comedic relief when needed. And Sean,
and you'll get a dose of that here in a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. Last question in this first segment, then we'll hop out and get to the rest of the show because we got some fun stuff planned for y'all. I personally want to know, when is a good time to get out of the business? I know you've not gotten out yet, but I just don't want to be that guy. You see them on the sports teams. They stick around way too long. I don't want to be the local version of that. We won't name any names, Tim Sullivan. But when's a good time to make sure people aren't looking at me like, man, this old guy is still doing it. I mean, I'm far away from that, I feel, but when's a good time in your opinion?
I don't think there is a good time. I mean, I think that's one of the things that's cool about this profession is sometimes it's nice to have different voices from different generations because just inherently we're going to view things different based on how we were raised and how we came up in our life experiences. So, for instance, people that are doing this that are in their 60s, they got to experience the peak of Louisville basketball in the 80s, which made them probably interpret and enjoy the 2013 national title differently, not worse, not better, but differently than I did, somebody who did not get to experience basketball in the 80s. So I like the idea of CDK writes for our site. He's like 82 at this point. Like I love having different voices that are out there. I wish we had, this is going to sound weird. Like I feel like we're kind of losing the younger voices, when I started doing this when I was 20, and for the first 10 years or so when I was doing it, college kids were actively reading blogs. They wanted to be a part of writing. And I feel like now with TikTok and Instagram and that sort of like it's fallen out of favor a little bit. And so I do fear that you're going to have a lack of inspired 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds who want to get out there and have their voices heard in the local, sports media coverage world. They'll make videos maybe, but like I hope that writing opens up so many different doors for you. You can write scripts on the news. You can write scripts for podcasts. If you can write, you can do a variety of things when it comes to sports media coverage. And it's definitely changed in recent years. I feel like we're not seeing as many younger kids, but this is a long-winded way of answering your question by saying, like, I don't think there is really an age. I think you can do great work deep into your 70s and 80s. And that's one of the great things about sports media coverage.
Absolutely. Now, I had a longer TBT segment cut out for us, but we've already went pretty lengthy. So I'm going to ask you two questions about the TBT. First off, what does the Louisville TBT team need to do to be a force on the court year in and year? Because it's already got the fan support. I know the one thing that kind of hurts is the lack of stars here at Louisville over the past. How many every years you want to put a number on it? And then the second question is, why in the world is Steve Rummage on the sidelines?
I was surprised to see him the first game. I was like, is that Steve out there? But he looked good. He looked like he belonged in there.
Don't lie, man.
He looked great. He looked fantastic. He looked like he belonged out there.
I guess
nobody carries a clipboard like Steve Rummage.
That's true. That's what they said. That's what they said about him in high school too. The two things I think they have to do moving forward is get younger, stay younger, find shooting. I think that that event typically gets won by the guys that are the teams that have the most guys that are 23, 24, 25, sort of fresh out of college. You saw it with our guys. We had some good players who by the third and fourth quarters, they look like me out there after trying to run for 2 or 3 quarters. It's tough once you hit a certain age. You kind of hit that brick and you can't do it the way that you did when you were in your mid 20s, early 20s.
Sean, we'll explain that to you later.
Yes. so I think, getting a guy like Jordan Wara, who's still kind of in the prime of his career and also brings you the outside shooting, getting Rain Smith, some of these guys that were on last year's team. I think we all would love to have like Chucky, Terrence, and Rain play in the TBT in the future.
Yeah.
They were so beloved, but to me, I think that's the biggest thing. Because like you said, it's slim pickings when it comes to the like 2020 through 2024 era type players. And I don't think anybody's going to be – no disrespect to those guys. They all – they gave it their all when they were here. But people just – they don't want to remember that era either. So it's – I think that it would almost do more harm than good to get some of those guys back here in the fold. But last year's team, getting those guys back I think would be great for the event.
I was really quickly, and then we'll head into halftime here. I was very happy to see Earl come back. Earl's one of those guys. Now, I've been around the basketball program for about, I hate doing it. I would say I've known somebody on the team and been up around them, close to 30 years. Gosh. Okay, now that's what makes me feel old. But Earl Clark is, excluding the people I grew up with around the neighborhood, ranks number one on not only being a good guy, but the combination of great player, even better person. I was so happy to see Earl, and I was so heartbroken for him that he only got to play in one game, and the refs were being absolute jack-ins to him. There were 2 fouls they called on Earl. One of them, he didn't commit, and the other one, it was just like, it looked like it from it looked like it from my vantage point. I was like, come on, Earl, man, you can't foul him that late into the shot. Then they showed the replay of it, and there was like this much room in between his hand and the shooter's hand. I'm like, well, that sucks. But speaking of Earl, he'll be on here with us. I want to say in a couple of months. He's already committed to doing the show with us. But I love that guy. I was glad to see him back. But you're right. We need more. We need more youth. We need better shooters. We were this close to having Jordan and Carly this year. Hopefully next year. Again, this is one of those situations that's tricky because if you love these guys, you don't want to see them on your team because you want them to be successful in the pros.
Yeah.
But then if you're considering the TBT to be a local franchise and thing you want to support, you're like, well, come on, guys, come on back. So it may be a couple years before we're able to be a force in the TBT.
Well, the thing about, like, you see a lot of the TBT teams that have made it deep in every year, pretty much. They've got a roster that is a constant roster.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So like they've got those reps every year. We're trying to piece together people, and yeah, they're all good players, and they've played. Some of them have played with each other, but you still got to build that camaraderie and that cohesion. And by the time we seem to get there, it's
yeah, and I
it's too
think
late.
I would say Trez, he's been a constant. He's been like we've had 3 seasons. He's been on there the last 2. Peyton's, even though he didn't play this year,
Russ, and
Russ, and that's it. We've shuffled
Chris Dowell's been on
a couple of seasons. Yeah. We asked this question at Freedom Hall before the TBT game, Mike, and I want to get your opinion on this. Who's a guy that's not played on our team yet? And let's exclude the guys from the last 5 seasons, to be fair. Who's a guy that we haven't had play for us yet that you'd love to see suit up for the Ville?
Oh, good question. I'm trying to think back to those. Dangadell was a guy who I think doesn't really get the credit that he deserved. I know he frustrated a lot of people in that David Padgett season of 2017-18. If you go back and look at his numbers, I think a lot of people would be shocked. They're like, this is the guy that we were so pissed at that season.
Right.
It's not just the Virginia deal. He was a super talented guy who I think the injury his freshman season probably derailed what was going to be an even better college career. I mean, you forget he's in the same class as Donovan Mitchell. He starts as a true freshman. Donovan Mitchell did not start. Dangadell was a starter that season, and then ends up getting hurt and plays sparingly as when he comes back. I'd like to see him back just because I think that he deserves a little bit of more of a better curtain call than he got in 2017-18.
Yeah, I believe if I remember correctly, it was Ding, it was Donovan, and it was Ray Spalding were all in that same recruiting class. And we had Ray this year on TBT. He just didn't play because of injuries and stuff. We mentioned a multitude of people from Romeo Langford to Fat Wayne Blackshear. I don't know why. I know he gained a little bit of weight when he was hurt, but that sounds like that's a nickname you couldn't get away with these days because of how sensitive people are. But Wayne Blackshear, I'd love to see, as long as he's able to get up and down the court. Speaking of people that are able to get up and down the court, Edgar Sosa, Juan Palacios, they're still playing. They are still playing professional basketball at a high level. Juan just, bless his heart, man. I have been talking to him all summer about coming on to the show. Our first interaction was he hit me up, and he was, because I had told him before the season, I was like, when y'all's playoffs start, let me know, shoot me a link so I can watch it, support you. It is what it is. So he wrote me on Instagram. He was like, Jay, what's up? And I'm like, nothing much. He's like, here's the link. I was like, when can we get you on our show? And he was like, LOL. I was like, no. When can we get you on our podcast? What is that? Yeah, it's just like you talk, and then it took me like 5 minutes to be able to like get through to him. I wanted him to, and even at that, he just kind of left me on red, and then went and won the championship and was the MVP.
Somebody else, and it goes back to kind of like what Mike said earlier, somebody that kind of deserves like a swan song. This Damian Lee,
Oh yeah,
they were poised to be a 1 seed in that year in the tournament, got taken, a real high team,
right.
And it got taken away from them. So like that's somebody that I would like to see be able to come back and get one more run and get the support of the fans around here, because what a player.
And another guy who's just like genuinely a good dude. He was on one of our very first episodes of Cardinal Sports Zone on 93.9 The Ville during our little run on 93.9. And I remember me and Steve were at the YMCA getting our daily workout in. And he was like, who can we get for our, because we had Peyton in for the first episode. Another great dude. Like, we could probably have our own show for about an hour talking about all the great guys that had played at Louisville. But I was like, I'll give it a shot. So I hit Damian Lee up, and I was like, hey man, I don't know if you'd want to do this or not. And this was in season. This was not like, and I normally don't talk to players during the season because they're focusing on the season. I was like, hey man, after the year, would you like to all the adversity y'all went through, would you like to come on the show and discuss it? And he was like, we ain't gotta wait. When'd y'all show? Saturday mornings from 10 to noon. All right, see you Saturday. I'm like, oh, well, that was easy. Looked over at Steve. I was like, we got Damian Lee. Then went back to the treadmill. He's like, really? I was like,
who was the other guy that
Trey, right?
Trey Lewis?
Trey Lewis.
Yep.
I was trying to think of his last name, but I knew it was Trey. Yeah, Damian and Trey.
We brought those. That was kind of like our two big transfers that we got.
Yeah, those were the two, and then the next year I believe was Quan Four in those Christian Cunningham.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and reset the show like we like to do every episode. We are going to go to Sean's segment, which Sean, you get the spotlight for a second. It's Sean's dating life segment. We're going to go to it real quick. It is, has Sean got any action? Sean?
No, yeet.
Look, he even went prematurely on that. That's why you don't. We want to shout out our sponsors once again. You can see them on the screen at all times, but we want to give them a little bit of extra love. Fitness Market, Four Pegs, Collision Course, Cherry Pick and Shoot 360, Mossy Oak, Planet Fitness, Rally House, Beckman's Fine Blades, and Josh Jarbo. Segment 3, and we'll try to shorten this up a little bit too. I know you've not said anything about time, but like I think the rest of us want to enjoy our day too. And as it always is in this type of a space, when you get good conversation going, I could talk forever. You can talk forever. I want to put a little bit of a time cap on this. So let's talk about the upcoming sports year. As you said earlier, a lot different than the years past. Of course, when people are put in a difficult situation, some of them we'll go from one extreme to the other. A guy like Scott Satterfield, who just great guy, just didn't seem to translate to college football. Tried really hard. And then you go to the other end of the spectrum where you got a guy who will remain unnamed, but was the head coach of our basketball team for a couple years, who had hard time. He was put, look, I don't think anybody will argue. He was put in an almost impossible position here, taking over as our head coach. The problem is in that first year, I even give him a pass because it's like you've got to deal with the prior and then get your stuff going. You've got a coach who didn't try to improve things. And people gave Sad a lot of crap because I believe it was after his first year he interviewed for South Carolina, or there was rumors.
It was in the middle of the second year.
What, middle of the second year?
Yeah.
If I can depend on you for anything, it's timeline stuff. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, 1792.
Yeah. So
Sail the ocean blue. No.
But I believe that in my opinion anyway, he rectified that by what he did the next. And he was ACC coach, coach of the year. Co-coach, maybe. I don't remember if he was the sole coach of the year. And I feel like he really tried, whereas the other guy, which we're not going to name on the show, didn't try. And I know firsthand by stories from his players and assistants that he just kind of was just going through the motions. Like it was a foregone conclusion pretty much week 2 of the season. So we've had that kind of turmoil, and we've seen coaches that tried and just, bless their hearts, they couldn't do it. And then we've had guys that came in and didn't try to do it. So with the focus on, we thought we were going to have maybe we had a mini year of the Card. We didn't do as well as the year of the Cardinal, but we had a really good sports season overall, which was a change from the prior years. The pandemic really kicked. I mean, it may have done that to a lot of programs, and I'm not privy to every other program's fan base and but we really got kicked in the sack time after time from 2020 to 2023 and a half, I guess. But this upcoming sports year, I would say it's got the potential to be one of the best we've ever had. When you think of the talent on the basketball court and how they're gelling together under Pat Kelsey, to is this year 3
Mm-hmm.
of Jeff Brom, which I can't believe I'm saying that finally. Jeff Brom, our head football coach, that's gelling. Women's basketball, I mean, you can never count out the women's team as long as Jeff Walls is at the helm. And my God, we talked to Corey Ray about this earlier. Asad Ali, we talked to him. The baseball team's returning almost all of its performers. Its pitching will be a year older. Now you're going to lose people to the draft, and there's going to be guys that didn't get drafted that get picked up in summer ball. But it looks like they've got World Series. I mean, I know they have World Series aspirations again, but this may be a back-to-back World Series year. So with all that being said, which sport are you most excited for? And just give us your thoughts on the other things I said. I know I never shut up. I'm sorry. That's why the show goes long.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, if you think about it, if we just want to focus on the spotlight sports for a second, this is probably the most solid footing we've had simultaneously with football and men's basketball since like 2017. I think we thought this time 8 years ago, you had Lamar coming back, you had Jair coming back, and then you had a top 10 team with Rick Pitino. And of course, both those things kind of blew up that fall with the defense being so bad in 2017, Jair getting hurt, and then Pitino getting fired. But it's been, I think, that long since we had this level of expectation, this level of hope. I think I think the football team is probably going to be, if they're in the top 25, they'll be back end of the top 25. But we all look at that schedule and say, with Jeff, if the defense is good enough, we should be competing for a conference championship, which in turn means we're competing for a spot in the playoff. And then basketball, when's the last time that we felt like we went into a season with a legitimate shot at playing deep into the NCAA tournament, making a Final Four? It's probably that 2019-20 season that got wrecked by COVID. So you take that, and then like you said, you've got women's basketball. I think that they're kind of refining their footing. They're going back. They're doing more of the traditional recruiting, more of the development from within. And baseball should be very good again. I would also say volleyball brings back 2 All-Americans. I know we lost DBK to Nebraska, but Dan Meskey's been right there as her right-hand man for the last several years. He's done a ton of in-game coaching.
Yeah.
We should be right there competing for a Final Four trip and a national title again. So it has an opportunity to be a really, really, really special 6-7 months in this program. And I mean, as excited as I am for men's basketball, we have never, for as good as we've been in totality as an athletic program, we still don't have a team national title outside of men's basketball. You've had all these College World Series trips. Volleyball now is played in 2 national title games. Women's basketball is played in 2 national title games. Football's been in the hunt a couple of times. I'm so excited for one of these programs to break through. Men's soccer played in a national title game, had an undefeated season before that. And it does feel like we're kind of inching towards that finally happening, while also getting men's basketball back and becoming the national powerhouse that we expected to be. So, yeah, man, I mean, this feels like a long time coming. I know we've had some false alarms over the years, but unless another global pandemic or aliens invade or some other crap happens,
the Big X curse.
The Big X curse happens. It feels like we're finally on the right path with the right people in place to lead this program moving forward.
Fabian says, seriously, Mike Rutherford is one. No, he's not one of the best. He is the best. Our guy Babu says, Mike, in basketball, who's the player that's being less talked about, but that you're the most excited for this season?
I mean, it's a funny question because we are so insane. I don't think there's a player on the team that's not being talked about. You go down those 12 scholarship guys, everybody's gotten a ton of attention. Here's how I answer the question, because you could say Kobe Rogers, but I think that that's become almost a thing that Louisville fans are talking up a ton. You could say, well, we're not, Adrian Woolley's kind of the forgotten transfer. He has NBA potential. I'm going to say Kenai Roots, just because I think people look at this roster, and I think initially you plug Javon Hadley maybe into the 4 because they love having him back as a team leader. You've also got Kason Pryor, who was supposed to play that role last season. if Kanai can hone the skill set that he showed us last year, there's nothing to me that says he can't be the guy that by the end of the season is our most reliable option at the 4 spot, who's taking advantage of the extra spacing that we have out there. We know if he gets a step on a guy, he can, he's going to yam on somebody's head. If he can improve the defense, and he's got, like, defense is a teachable thing. He's long, he's athletic. He should be a very good defender now after having grown like 4 inches or whatever they said during the offseason. He should be able to guard multiple spots. I would not be shocked at all if we, once March rolls around, are talking about, I can't believe that we didn't talk about Kanai as more of a sophomore breakout type contender, because that's always the biggest offseason in college basketball, is that year between your freshman and your sophomore campaign. And if he's been doing the right things, and if he gets the right situation this year, I think he has the opportunity to really kind of pop this season.
And we have had good, by the way, once again, we have the greatest of all time, and he'll stop. If he's like me, he'll be like, stop, keep it going. But Mike Rutherford, you can listen to his show Monday through Friday on the Big X from 3 to 5? 2:30
to 5:30.
2:30 to 5:30. Yeah, I knew that. 2:30 to 5:30. It's amazing. Like, just tune in. But through the good times and bad times we've had the past few years, is there something? This is more of an in-jest question. Did we do something to deserve the bad, or why? Why did we have to go through that little rough time period?
It's crazy to think about. I mean, so I remember, since we're all friends here talking, I can tell a little story. So we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of kind of the start of the Troubles. It was October of 2015, and they were doing this big celebration where they were renaming the Sports Illustrated Humanitarian Award as the Muhammad Ali Award. And so they had this big celebration at the Galt House, and I was doing the show with John at the time. So John invited me, and it was one of those crazy kind of pinch yourself moments. I'm eating dinner on a Thursday night, and Shaquille O'Neal and Muhammad Ali literally 10 feet behind me eating their dinner, like right behind us there. So it was, George Foreman's there, he's speaking. It was this crazy, awesome night. And Tom Jurich is there, and there's this little after party after the thing. And I could tell Tom's been kind of quiet all night. There's been something that, maybe he's just worried. We're playing NC State in football that weekend. Maybe he's just got a lot on his plate. And he kind of calls me over at one point and is like, hey, he's like, I can't sleep. I just have to tell somebody about this. Like, we got contacted. There are these strippers out there who are claiming that they got paid to have sex with our basketball players. And he's like, we alerted the NCAA right away. I put my best people on it. They can't find anything. And at this point in time, he's kind of like hoping that this is all made up and they've got this weird thing. But he's like, I'm just putting this on your radar. He's like, this could wind up being a thing, but I don't know about it. Sure enough, 2 days later, right when we get to Raleigh for the NC State game, the story breaks and all hell breaks loose. The book is published that night. And it kind of felt like ever since then, it was one thing after the other. I mean, how many times did you guys celebrate? Did I celebrate where we're like, the dark clouds lifted, we've moved on. And then something happens right after that doesn't make that happen. Sorry, my son just walked in here. So it's been like false start after false start. And knock on wood, it feels like now is the moment where we finally have rid ourselves of all those bad sports juju demons that have plagued us over the years, right?
I sure hope so. I hope we didn't just jinx ourselves by saying that as well. Look, we're going into the last segment. I'm going to have a little fun. I've got to get some revenge on Mike. I've not told anybody, Joe, you and Sean know, but I've not told the story publicly yet. I was, a couple months ago, and Mike's going to feel horrible about this at first, but then it's all in fun and love. I was having some health issues again. They've not went away since I come, and I wasn't feeling very motivated. I guess you could always say Mike's been there for me in one way or the other, whether he knew it or not, when I needed him the most. I didn't call out to Jesus. I guess I apparently called out to Mike Rutherford because you all talked me into starting a cameo when that was hot a couple years ago, and or maybe it was a year ago. And didn't have a whole bunch of success with it. Had some hits here and there. Thought it was a cool idea, but hadn't had anything in months. And I get this request. It was like, hey, you've received a request for a uplifting message for Jeff. It didn't tell me who it was from. At first, it didn't say anything. So I'm like, well, man, this is awesome. I'm feeling down myself. What a better way to get somebody else positively motivated than to hear come out of my mouth what I need to hear going into my ears. So this was a passionate, just spirited. I give this guy a message. I hit send, and then it says, "Thank you. Your message to Mike Rutherford has been sent." And I'm like, Mike Rutherford? What? I thought it was to Jeff. So I hit him. I was like, Mike, what is this? He's like, ha 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 ha. And I'm like, no. What? He's like, that was the Jeff Greer. I'm like, so I should have known. I should have put two and two together. But it was a funny. Again, I needed that. He didn't know that. I needed that, and it ended up being a very, very good time. So I'm going to get my revenge on him a little bit, and we'll start out with the hard hitting questions. For those that don't know, can you kind of let everybody know, where did Ruth Dick come from?
It was this guy who, I mean, I love the fact that you guys are the same way too. Like when I see news journalists complain about, like, somebody said something mean to me, like I'm like, try being a sports internet person when your arch rival is Kentucky. There's nothing you can say to me that can hurt me. There's absolutely no. I mean, I got fun story, that also kind of shows my age. My very first death threat was on AIM, AOL Instant Messenger. I did it. I did a Mike Ruth 5, still the same name. I was doing radio with Matt Jones once a week, and I had written this hit piece on Billy Gillispie, which, by the way, was 100% right about. I was like, this guy sucks. He's got demons. He's not going to be good. Kentucky fans are going to hate him. And so I went on the radio, and Matt was like kind of trying to call me out. He's like, you did a hatchet job and all this stuff. And I was like, I stand by it. I think I think you guys are going to hate him. And I was right. I got home, and I had my AIM was up. I had the away message. Some guy, I guess, had gone and like found what my email address was, and then assumed that I had the same AIM, which was correct, and was like, hey, a bunch of words that I can't say. I'm going to burn your house down. I'm going to kill. Like, I'm in college at this point. So my very first piece of a death threat from a UK fan happened when I was in college. So when you're born in those fires, you're basically like it's Dark Knight style. You're basically Bane. Like, I was born in the darkness of Kentucky fan hate. So that happened. And that guy, he's reached out. I do feel kind of bad about it, because he's like reached out a couple of times and been like, hey, I'm an adult now. I'm trying to get a job. Like, I don't like my name being attached to Hum These Balls, Ruthick, or whatever it was. Which the best part of it was, it was all about the fact that we didn't get College Game Day the year after we won the national title, and they went to the NIT, and they had gone to the NIT. And so that guy's like, we still got our game day. So, hum these Ruthick. And I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I made it my banner on Twitter. I was like, this is the great, out of all the terrible tweets I've gotten in my life, this is without question the best one.
Well, absolutely. And that, so you pronounce it Ruthick. We always say but it makes sense because your name's not Rutherford. It's Ruth. Okay.
Yeah. Either one works. It still flows.
Ruthick.
It's still, yeah. It's very, aesthetically pleasing. It rolls off the tongue.
Hold on. Or dry. Never mind. We won't go there. Sorry. Speaking of AOL, great transition. That was my next bullet point. I think we are the only two people on earth that still use our AOL. I've not been on AIM probably in about 15 years, but
oh man, I used to love AIM.
It's dead. It's
people ask me, they're like, okay, see, I didn't even know
Yahoo
that. Rest
chat,
in peace.
Yahoo Messenger, Yahoo Chat.
I didn't know that.
The days.
But why don't you? I have people ask me, why don't you change your email address? AOL. I'm like, I've not changed my phone number since I got a cell phone. Thankfully, I've been able to pay my phone bill every month since I was in college, which a lot of people don't get to do. So blessed for that. People say that you're the greatest of all time. I agree with them, but I think that composition's a little different. I think it's 99% goat, 1% donkey. Again, I'm trying. Y'all let me know which ones hit and which ones don't. I'm trying to get my revenge on Mike. So, all right, Mike, you wrote a book. Very good. At leveling out my table. Was that one good? Yeah, not good? Okay, maybe I shouldn't get into comedy. More serious question. Why does NKU have a beach volleyball team when there's no beach near Northern Kentucky?
Ooh, great question. I had no idea they had a beach volleyball team. Maybe it's some play on Norse Vikings sand. No idea. Especially that campus. It's a total concrete jungle. There's like no trees. There's nothing there. Anyway, it's like the worst school to have a beach volleyball team.
I was on my way to Charlotte for the ACC tournament, the first one I got to cover. I had a great time, and their bus. I'm doing 70. This bus drives by with NKU beach volleyball on the side, just leaves me in the dust, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get my revenge on you. I'm a very vengeful person. I didn't even realize that, but
you didn't?
No, I didn't. I really didn't, jerk.
Can I say real quickly?
Yeah.
AOL email address to the crew. Ray Lewis, AOL email address. Eric Wood, AOL. Pat Forty, AOL. So we are few, but we are proud.
We are not alone. Sorry, maybe that's not the right tune to be sounded.
I probably still have King Joe 526
somewhere,
but I have not used that in a long time.
Let's play a new game that I just made up on the spot called Befriend or Behead. Befriend or Behead. Okay. Jeremy or Sean?
I've got to befriend one of you and behead the other.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like the theme of the show is to just kind of crap on Sean. Yeah. So I feel like since I'm your guest, I've got to behead Sean and
Sean
befriend Jeremy.
To get beheaded.
No, that's something different. Again, not for the air.
That's for Mike's show.
Yes, it's for my show. In the spirit of Sean, why do so many people that don't have radio-friendly faces insist on being on the radio?
Great question. They don't let me do anything else, so that's the answer there. There
are you against virginity?
Am I against
are you
virginity?
anti-virginity?
Yes, without question. I think people are more happy when they're actively having sex. I think virginity is it's a cry against our genetic nature, against our biological nature. So yeah, I'm extremely anti-virginity.
We have those appendages for a reason.
So that answers my next question, which was, are you against Sean? But we don't need to ask that anymore. What is a higgy?
What's a higgy?
Yeah, what's a higgy?
I know Higgy from your show.
Yeah, that's what we're at.
That wouldn't hit.
He's a guy who ruins the 2018 football season, apparently, by coming on my show. That's what it is.
He not only ruined that season, but here's a couple other fun facts. Every year when we do our preview shows, Louisville's going 12-0 in football and 38-2 in basketball. But he's most notorious for a group chat, a recruiting group chat that we had, Sean. You were in this group. You were included for once. And I get in this group chat with you, Sam, Dalton, and Higgy, which I trust. Now I don't trust you all four, but at that point, very trustworthy in all of you. I was just getting to know Higgy as well. I said, let's keep this on the low, but we're getting a commit. What was the kid's name?
Vito
Tisdale committing to Louisville tomorrow. I just got told by the coach, one of the assistant coaches at the time, keep this on the low. Not 5 minutes later on Twitter, Higgy's like, can't believe we're getting Vito Tisdale. Well, that ended up ruining that commitment. Thankfully, we didn't get him because he went on to cause a little bit of trouble at UK, allegedly. We had to say allegedly, even though we know it happened. So maybe it was a good thing, even though we kind of looked up. But anyway, we have always wanted to know what a Higgy was.
So if you want to get rid of a player, tell Higgy not to.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. No, that's the point. Right. What do you think his blood type is?
Sugar.
Nope.
Oh, sorry.
Don't ruin the punch.
Sorry. Sorry.
I'm trying to think of what you're going to say. AB negative?
No, gravy.
Cholesterol.
Yeah,
Gravy.
cholesterol.
Now that I'm sitting here thinking we're talking about guys like Sean and Higgy, why do I have so many odd people I surround myself with?
I mean, the implication there is that you're not odd yourself. Maybe we need to look a little bit inward, Jeremy.
Oh. Oh.
You know, I've never thought of that, but if Mike says it, I will go into deep introspective later on.
You're gonna do
tonight.
an Aaron Rodgers and lock yourself in a room for
That's right.
4 days straight with no food, no water, no toilet, just darkness.
Ayahuasca retreat. It's time.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do that for the business.
Okay.
Is Dalton, speaking of the business, is Dalton Pence too short for radio?
If he is, then I'm dangerously close. So I'm going to say no.
Ian Rappaport's like 4'8".
Okay, fair enough. I have to ask the hard hitting questions. And last but not least, finally, who's your favorite big and tall Louisville media guy?
Does Matt Simons do media stuff? Because that's my guy. I love him. No, I'm a big fan of my guy Jeremy Wallman, killing it as always here on CSC. The biggest, the best, crushing it.
Okay, so I'm kind of like the white big X, but of Louisville media. I like it. I like it. Look, guys, we appreciate all of you all. Yes, Joey.
Oh, I just got a question for Mike.
Oh, okay, well,
okay. What's your thoughts on buttered sausage? What it is, what it does, what it's good for?
I mean, are we going to string this back to the virginity question? Because
anywhere
Sean's never had his sausage butter, by the way.
If I'm against virginity, I think inherently pro buttered sausage. So I enjoy. I think getting the sauce. I mean, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do it.
Gotta get that sausage buttered, bro.
Buttered sausage is good for everybody.
Yeah.
There you go, Sean. Maybe you'll finally listen. You don't listen to us. Maybe you'll listen to Mike.
Curious questions, that's on everybody's mind, and I just figured I'd ask.
Absolutely. Look, guys, we appreciate all of you all tuning in to watch the show today. Please support our photographers out there, Jeff Nunn, TJ Barr, Justin Kruger, Keith Russell. They cover so Nunn is the football guy. TJ covers men's basketball along with Keith. They alternate between women's and men's, and Justin is our baseball photographer. Support those guys' photo galleries when they come out. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, and we're filling up, we'll always take your money, but if you want great promotion, get in now while you can. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, as it's been the entire show, for sponsorship opportunities, email me, Jeremy Wallman at jswallman723 at, say it with me, Sean, AOL. Good God, no wonder you've never put it in. Stay tuned to our social media and subscribe to us on YouTube or Facebook to be alerted anytime we go live, even though, as we said, we prefer the tube of you. You can find the audio version on over 125 different podcast avenues: Apple, iTunes, Buzzsprout, Spotify, TuneIn, Google, Amazon, iHeart, just to name a few. Hit subscribe, like, heart, plus sign, or whatever it is Sean does on the weekends to get those podcasts delivered directly to your phone or personal computer. If you haven't listened to all the prior episodes of the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast, it's easy to find. Go to cardinalsportszone.com, the place it all began. Go to the podcast tab, podcast drop-down menu, select CSC podcast for anything from the last 6 seasons. We're about to start season 7 here in a few weeks with Chris Redmond and Ivan Green. The boys coming in studio to hang out with us for a little bit. For the stuff pre-93.9, you can go to the archives, and because Nikki V deleted all of our stuff from 93.9, you'll never be able to listen to that again. Please send all of your hate mail and anger mail because of that to don't even send. I'm not going to give out his personal email address. His Twitter is at Nikki V ESPN. Harass him incessantly until he figures out a way to bring all that back,
or until he learns how to shut the door after he uses the bathroom.
Mike, this dude came in to do our show about a month ago. Asked us where the bathroom was, and I'm like, okay, dude's got to pee. Directly
Right
across the hallway, 3 feet from the hallway, there's a bathroom. I was like, oh, it's right over there. 20 minutes later, he walks back. We know what he's done at this point. He's flushed
3
multiple times. Yeah. Triple flush Nick is what we call him now. And doesn't turn the fan on, leaves the door wide open, and we can. So
I had to sprint like 3 feet, which was still like
that's a lot for you.
well, like just get out of the chair. Like, hold on, no, we ain't about to do all this, and like go over and like Gumby arm the bathroom door.
Yeah, you couldn't even go in the door.
No, I just flipped my hand up. I don't know that I think I caught the fan. I'm not sure, but like at that point,
Yeah,
I
you
just
turned the
needed to
fan.
get the door closed so that stench didn't.
I think
enter
this
the
poses
studio.
a deeper question, and maybe it's just Nikki centric. So maybe we shouldn't like stereotype an entire people, but that brings up a great question. Are all Italian Americans as inconsiderate with bathroom decorum as he is?
It's Nick Valvano.
Okay, it's just
Yeah.
Nick. All right, fair enough. Again, check out our exclusives at cardinalsportzone.com, the place it all begins. Shout out to everybody out there that's sharing the podcast. We appreciate you. Second highest live audience of all time. We appreciate you all joining us. Shout out to our guys Marcus Maben and Steve Rummage doing the Lord's work from Monday through Friday. Supposed to be 10 to noon, but it's normally about 10:07 to 11:53 on ESPN 93.9 The Ville. And a big shout out to our guy, the Wounded Duck, Dalton Pence, for his show 6 to 7 Mondays on the Big X. And we would be remiss if we didn't mention the newest addition to the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast network, Spill in the Ville. I still think they need to work on the title, but that's what Terrence Jennings wants. And when Terrence Jennings looks down on you and says, I want to be known as Spill in the Ville, you just say, yes, sir. And then you try to punch him in the tap him in the nuts to bring him down to your level a little bit. But
They
you
just
say,
had
okay.
Larry O on.
Yeah, had Larry O'Bannon on this week. You can find them on Twitter at Spill in the Ville. Him and our guy Blake McCauley, who is one of our recruiting guys as well, helping him out to be able to produce that. And it's a great time. Mike, I normally ask people at this point for their social media, but if you don't know at Card Chronicle, then either you're stupid or you may be visually impaired. So maybe we should go ahead and tell you it's at Card Chronicle. You can find Sean at
Elville Sean.
And what's your Farmers Only?
Not giving that out.
Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it.
Okay.
No.
Joey?
At Joe Wallman 526.
I'm at Jeremy_CSC. The website is at Card Sport Zone. As you can see at the bottom, you can find us on all the social media avenues there. Shout out to our guys at the 502 Circle. We are supposed to have Dan Furman in here in 2 weeks to close out the bonus episodes this summer. He's such a busy guy. If for some reason he writes me back and tells me he's too busy, we'll take the next show. We've been busy all summer, Sean. We normally take the summer off, but with me being in the hospital, it's given me a new lease on life. And just like that first season, the first football season, we loaded it up with former NFL cards. We had everybody on here. It's kind of what I wanted to do this summer because you don't want to get to a point to where you're rusty in the game. And for me, I don't worry about that because I'm a natural on the microphone. For you guys, though, thought y'all might have a little ring rust, so I wanted to make sure that we had a busy summer.
I'm never rusty. That's Sean.
Yeah, that's true. And we had to start it off with Corey Ray and to end it with Mike Rutherford. And we'll have Dan on. He's a rock star in his own accord, but him and Mark doing great stuff with the 502 Circle. Final thoughts. Joey, we'll let you lead off with the final thoughts.
I was texting with Bill Jones earlier, Collision Course Crew. They are moving the tailgate this year.
Okay.
No longer in the El Nepal parking lot. So it's going to be they're actually moving to the green lot, the RV spot 45.
Okay, yeah, from a boo to a yay. So they'll be on on site.
On the grounds.
There you go.
Yeah. So want to go ahead and start getting that out there, fast approaching. We'll reiterate that going forward. But yeah. For us, big night tonight.
Absolutely. SummerSlam night too.
Yeah, so it's been an action-packed wrestling holiday weekend. Friday,
For
Saturday,
sure.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I mean, it's just, if you're a wrestling fan, it doesn't get much better than this.
Absolutely. And also, you forgot to tell everybody that Maryland sucks.
Oh, again,
That should be
if
implied.
you don't know Card Chronicle,
That's true.
blah, 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 right?
Right.
If you don't know that Maryland
That's
sucks.
actually what people say. If you don't know Card Chronicle, blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what they write on the Twitters.
But yeah, Maryland sucks. I mean, it's get your pet spayed neutered. I think Sean's going in this week. So
Uneffing believable.
No, it's believable.
That's
Sean.
all I got.
Sean, what about your final words?
Just looking forward to
Not in life, but just for the show today.
Looking forward to SummerSlam night 2,
Give us
and
a
just
heads
hope
up.
everybody remembers me fondly.
That's very fair. I don't know any. That's the thing about it, Sean. You have a very good sense of humor. You take it very well.
We just want you to start giving it well.
Yes, we want you to reciprocate. Not to us, but
Buttered sausage.
buttered sausage for sure. Guest of honor, Mike. Final thoughts for the show.
Football's going to be fun. Basketball's going to be fun. Reds baseball. Nick Kroll sucks. Castellini family, get out of my life. That's there's your final thought.
I love that. And
Are they from Maryland?
They probably are. Probably. Look, and I want to give a special shout out because I don't know how many, but how many of y'all know this, but Mike's wife is the most famous wife of media. What would you call this? So like you got the president and the first lady. So she's the first lady of media. And Mike's just, every time that I've met her and talked, she's just been so fun, so lovely. So shout out to your wife and your children. And thank you, man. Thank you for coming on the show and gracing us with your presence, so to speak. And we'll have to do this again a lot sooner than once every 14 years.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate it. Had a great time. And as long as the good times keep going with athletics, then I'm always happy to talk Cardinal sports for as many opportunities as I get.
Let's go. You heard that. As long as the seasons are good, you can expect a Mike Rutherford appearance, much like never mind. I'm not going to relate it to Sean. We'll have him on more frequently in the future. It's just, here's the thing. I'm going to go off tracks here for just a second. Me and Mike have been trying to do this for several years. Then the pandemic hit. Then I went in the hospital. Then Mike wasn't feeling well. And then this season came, and it's like, what a better way. And honestly, I probably should have saved this appearance for episode 300, which will be happening at some point by the end of the football season, I believe, because that's a special. We have special guests for those episodes.
Well, you heard him. If the season's going good, then
yeah, we'll just have him back on. Yeah, absolutely. My final thoughts. Again, join us Wednesday nights for the Wednesday Night Wrestling Recap, Ringside Podcast, and Cardinal Sports Zone Podcast collaboration. We will recap a historic first ever night, 2-night SummerSlam on the summer season finale before we hop into season number 7. So that means if we've been going, so we've been on this
2009
medium, it'll be our 7th season. Then we were on 93.9, I want to say, from 2013 to 20. So 12 or 13 years. I don't remember the exact dates that we got on and everything, but man, it's such a blessing, and we appreciate being able to not only provide y'all with information, but the fact that you all love us enough to tune in, to read the story. Sean works really hard at being our editor, a lot harder than he does being our producer. He's kind of crappy at that, but as editor, I wouldn't want anybody else in the world to do it. He's see, I crapped. It's a compliment sandwich. Crapped on you. Put a nice little filling in there. Pause, and then at the end, I'm just going to say you suck. So that's what we'll do there. And the next time you'll catch
Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. The next time you'll catch us is on August the 17th for the season 6 finale, as we tentatively welcome in Dan Furman and maybe a couple of the Floyd Street media, maybe a little Jacob Lane action too. Our guy from he was first from the Big Red Louie and now does the state of Louisville stuff. The Summer Superstar Sizzling Summer Series. I know, too many S's though, but was a success. Thank you to Corey Ray, DeJuan Wheat, Luke Whitehead, Colin Lyman, Terrence Jennings, Nikki V, Chris Williams, Lance McGarvey, Asad Ali, Peyton Siva, and the one and only Mike Rutherford. As I stated earlier, we'll not only have Earl Clark on later on this year, Montrez will be on with us, and Deion Branch in the future as well. And thank you to all the members of the podcast for all their hard work for their work, maybe not their hard work. Well,
You're welcome.
Thanks for being here. I guess we've matriculated all the way down to just thanks for being a body and being here. But no, without you guys, it's just me talking, and who would want to listen to that other than thousands of people that tuned in to listen to me talk?
Or me.
Yeah, for sure. for myself, for Joey, for Sean, and for the one and only Mike Rutherford, we hope you all enjoy this week. L's up. Turn the music down, Sean. Good God. Thanks again for the support. We love you guys. Until the next time, this has been the Cardinal Sports Zone Podcast.